Live from the House of LeMay Makeup and Dressing Room.
Here comes Amber. Stop what you're doing. Here comes Amber. She's just doing what she can. Here comes Amber. Cue the spotlight. Here comes Amber with 2 drinks in her hand. The matriarch of fashion, secret super glasses, you can't look away. Ask her, does she do it? There's really nothing to it. She's got that feminine game. If you have a party, or if you're feeling naughty, call up the House of LeMay. Here comes your favorite gal. Here comes your queen. Here comes the talk of the town. And we're live tonight. The music starts playing. It's time for cabaret. And we're live tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, please turn off all cell phones and get ready for your host, Amber LeMay.
Florida woman arrested with a pitchfork, whip, and teddy bear? Police handcuffed a woman in the rain outside a public supermarket and put her in the back of their cruiser. This is just another perfectly abnormal Floridian being harassed by the fuzz. I remember an S&M themed Halloween party I once attended as a witch with the exact same accessories. By midnight, I'd forked 3 willing barbacks, lost my whip in the ladies' toilet, and picked up a real teddy bear. And he came with his own handcuffs. Twice. Hi there, Amber LeMay here. And you know what? Russell and I are on vacation in Provincetown. But tonight, we're going to show you one of our favorite episodes. It's an interview we did back in November of 2020 with, at the time, Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman from Pennsylvania and his lovely wife, Gisele, and who shows up at Hal Sparks. Oh, this is a great interview, and I think you're going to like the show. Stay tuned. Hello, hello, hello. How was your long weekend? I tell you, I enjoyed mine, but I'm looking forward to tonight. But let's do some housekeeping first. Let's like, share, subscribe. Let people know you're watching because they're not going to want to miss this show. But you know what? If you have missed shows in the past, go over to amberlive.tv and you can catch all of my past shows, including last week's great show. You got to check that out with the Broadway boys and our chef that traveled around the world. So yes, check out that show. But oh, do we have a show tonight? Russell.
Hi, Amber.
Hi, Russell. Oh my goodness. Do we have a great night planned tonight?
Oh, yes, we do. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Okay.
Oh, look, Big J's here.
Yay.
Big J.
Oh, that's right. It's Big J's birthday. Yeah, yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes. Happy birthday, Big J. There we are. That was the last public appearance that we made before everything was shut down. That was a Mardi Gras party at Three Needs. And Big J was there, and we had a great time. He was doing his Michael Jackson moves. And Lieutenant Governor David Zuckerman was there, too. We got our picture taken with him. So that was a great time. So happy birthday, Big J. Thanks for watching. So, Russell, any other news from your end?
Well, first of all, there's always our bustiers. So we do love to thank everyone who supports Amber Live, our bustier club, our real super bustier, Rial, who is always at the top of the list. And then this week, we have some repeat bustiers. Larry Lamori gave us another bit of support to help us out and keep us going. And I didn't get a chance to move them up to the head of the list, but Doug and Fred just sent us a donation as well. So thank you to everyone. It really does help keep us going and growing and to bring on all the great guests that we're getting. And we're having an amazing time, so I hope you are too. And if you would like to become a bustier or be a bustier yet again, use the Venmo that's there at the bottom at RJD Pro, and you can help us out and keep us going. And if you give $25 or more, you get an Amber Live sticker. which are a lot of fun. And if you'd like, you can do like Larry did and turn it into a magnet.
Why not? Be creative. What else are you going to do these
Exactly.
days?
You can stick that thing anywhere.
Okay. And also, how about our caption? Do we have a caption contest
We
this
do
week?
have a caption contest this week. If you'd like to join the caption contest, you'll caption this photo, which was out on the internet this week. Just label it as a caption. Jack will get it. And at the end of the show, we'll bring up the funniest captions.
That's pretty good. I like that. But a turtle with jeans on. Oh,
Yes,
well, Russell, the other night, you and Bob had some fun.
we did.
Tell us
We
about
did.
that.
Well, so I was online and I noticed that our good friends Madge and Biscuit, who are probably watching tonight, were doing a live stream as them, not in character, but as themselves, as they often do. But they had just discovered StreamYard, which is the software that we use. And so I said, hey, that's what we use. And next thing you know, there we were on StreamYard with them, chatting away and having a grand old time for like an hour and a half. They are a lot of fun. If you don't subscribe to their channel, first go subscribe to our channel and then go subscribe to their channel, and you'll get a lot of laughs. They're very funny people.
They are very productive as well. And then we forgot to mention that last Saturday night, I was part of a Vermont tourism Zoom viral show that they had used with Vermont comedians. And we'll show that clip sometime when we got some extra time. But it was a fun part to be a part of that. And I want to thank Natalie and Nathan from the Vermont Comedy Club for asking me to be a part of that. That was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. You did a great job.
Well, thanks to you, you made me look good. So this week's show, I got to let some people down because Lucy Bell's not going to be on the show tonight for her Bitchin' in the Kitchen segment. You know why? Well, if you look outside, there's a full moon out, okay? And it's called the Beaver Moon. Yes, and because it's supposed to be good for beaver trapping or something. Anyway, Lucy Bell, as the reigning queen of Beaver Pond, Vermont, has to appear there at the annual pageant they have for the Beaver Moon night. So that's why she's busy and won't be on tonight. So, but she'll be back next week. She's already got some great recipes cooking in her kitchen. So, but Russell, who do we have tonight?
Oh my goodness, we have a lineup that is just fantastic. We have some stars of the talk show and news circuit right now, and we have a very famous actor. And so first up tonight, we have Lieutenant Governor of Pennsylvania, John Fetterman, and we have his wife, Gisele Fetterman, who is a hot ticket in her own right. She is an activist and has had an amazing life, and you've got a lot to talk about with the two of them. And then later in the show, fingers crossed, we have Hal Sparks, who was on Queer as Folk and Talk Soup and done a million things, and now he's doing a lot of political commentary. And he is at online doing a show with the Boston Comedy Club right now, and so he is going to check in with us when he's done, and then we will have him on the show. Yes, let's hope they don't run over. Let's hope they stick to a schedule like Amber does.
That's right. Well, it sounds like, it's going to be a fun next hour or so. So let's get to it, Russell.
Yes, let's do it.
Right.
So I think it's time for me to move on. Have a good show.
All right. Talk to you later, Russell. Yeah. So make sure after the show tonight, go out and check out that Beaver Moon. Doesn't that sound like fun? But it's a clear sky, so you should be able to see it. Well, it's been a holiday weekend, and I don't know about but I'm a little fatter. But you know what? I think it's time we look at some headlines. So Waffle House, America's most deliciously named food-themed restaurant, has teamed up with the Oconee Brewing Company to make bacon-infused beer. Yeah. Now, this is the best move the Waffle House has done since dedicating its house to waffles. How is it in 2020 this is the first time we're doing this? I mean, humans have had bacon for centuries, and only now we're fixing it with beer? Bacon goes with everything and on anything. It goes with food. It goes with fashion. Lady Gaga knows that. Remember that outfit? Hell, put it in perfume and I'll wear it. Even Donald Trump would be better with bacon. But still terrible, but at least he'd smell like bacon. So 2020 has had some hits. But we got bacon and beer. Donald Trump lost the election several times. And the pandemic cut down the number of shootings over a 200-foot television screen at Walmart. I mean, there are some good things. However, it was Black Friday, and even during a global pandemic, we still got someone being an asshole shopping for Christmas gifts. Cops got called to a Jacksonville GameStop. Yes, it was a Florida man, and he left a chair to mark his place in line and then came back with more people to stand with him. The crowd complained, the guy got physical, and the cops were called in to nerd wrangle the upset Xbox crowd. It's 2020. Who's the fruitcake standing in an actual physical line? Everyone else is ordering their deals online except for some ding-dongs in Florida. Anyway, speaking of ding-dongs, ding-dongs. Denver Mayor Michael Hancock had to ask forgiveness from his constituents when it was discovered he had flown to Mississippi for Thanksgiving. Now, this was after he pleaded with citizens to stay home. Apparently, he tweeted, "Avoid travel," 30 minutes before his plane took off. Well, actually, it's not a bad strategy. If I had the influence like a mayor of a major city, I would definitely use my power to convince people not to fly just before I did. It practically guarantees you'll have an empty row. Come on, who wouldn't abuse that power? Yeah, it was not a good week for local governments. California Governor Gavin Newsom was caught at a fancy dinner party at a winery, despite ordering bars and restaurants to shut down across his state. I mean, look at this guy. Governor Newsom looks like he's been quarantining at a happy hour this entire pandemic. What I hate most is that it flies in the face of New York Governor Cuomo, who canceled Thanksgiving dinner with his own mother, the first mother of New York. How dare you, Governor Newsom? How dare you, Mayor Hancock? Speaking of Donald, the election grabbed me by the pussy, Trump. Well, I did mention him once earlier. And he's going to just go away quietly in a few weeks, and I won't have any reason. Well, anywho, President Trump held a press conference to say Happy Thanksgiving to the troops. But for some reason, they sat him at what can only be described as a presidential kiddies table, where he indeed acted like a grumpy toddler who had too much pumpkin pie and was in need of a nap. He shouted at a reporter who asked if he would concede the election. "Don't talk to me like that. I'm the president." "Not for long, Bob. Now go lay down in front of the TV and let Uncle Joe fix everything you broke." And that's this week's headlines. Oh, so this is what we've been building up for the past couple of weeks. We told you it was going to be a special announcement. Then we announced it, and the time is here. So please welcome Lieutenant Governor John and Gisele Fetterman. Please. Hello there. There's hi, Lieutenant Governor. Nice seeing you. Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Yeah.
We just lost a tooth.
Yeah,
Show your little.
he just lost a tooth. So
Oh.
literally 2 minutes before we came on, so we got that taken care of. So yeah.
Well, tell the tooth fairy I said hi.
Oh, we will.
So Governor, you had some breaking news in Pennsylvania that you were talking to other press right before we went on. Can you tell us about that?
Well, one of the state senators that was helped spearhead that meeting in Gettysburg, that whole snake handling kind of crazy, talk about the election. Unfortunately, and very seriously, he's contracted COVID. He went to the White House and they test the president, everyone around the president for COVID, and he tested positive. And it's very sad because, he had this large event indoors at a hotel ballroom, and none of them were wearing masks. And, and again, I absolutely, sincerely, and truly wish him a speedy and uneventful case. But I just don't understand, in this day and age, under these situations, why we would choose not to take this virus, given that we had over 250,000 more empty chairs around this country's this past Thanksgiving. It's just awful.
It really is. It really is. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk to us tonight.
Oh.
So, Lieutenant Governor, how did you become Lieutenant Governor of Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
Where did it start?
Yeah, well, I mean, the simple answer is that I campaigned, and I was lucky enough to be chosen by the voters of Pennsylvania. But I really just always wanted to get involved, and it sounds corny, but just make the world a better place. And I started out as a program director, helping young people, get their GEDs and get their first jobs, driver's licenses, and things like that. And then I decided to run for mayor of the town that we're in, and it just went from there. And
so what town was that?
Braddock, Pennsylvania. And
how big is Braddock?
Braddock's a small town, but it's very historic because I'm sure you've all heard of Andrew Carnegie, the great steel magnate that really helped. He was kind of like the Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos or Steve Jobs of his day. He actually built his first mill here in town, and it's actually home to the last steel mill in all of Western Pennsylvania. We live across the street from it right now, actually.
Well, how cool! So, so you ran for mayor of Braddock. How your first time you ran and you won?
Yeah, I won, and I served several terms.
He won by 1 vote.
One vote. Yeah. So, did you beat an incumbent?
I did. I beat an incumbent, and several terms later, I ran for lieutenant governor and won in 2018. And it's a great honor to serve. And I don't have to tell you, these are strange days for any number of reasons. And now we are in this fight where, in the first time in the history of the republic, you have a sitting president that refuses to concede an election, despite all evidence to the contrary that he soundly lost it. And I don't understand.
What if this was happening in any other country in the world? How would we be reacting? What would we be saying to that country?
We would be like, oh God, I'm glad we don't live,
that shithole.
Crazy. Like, it's just to your point. It's just so humiliating that this idea that just because you don't like the outcome, that somehow means there was fraud. I mean, like, it's just so disingenuous and so destructive. And what I said during this whole turbulent time is that this isn't free speech. This isn't a quest for the truth. This is yelling fire in a crowded theater, and it needs to be treated as such. This is not free speech. This is dangerous, it's harmful, and it's intentionally destructive.
Exactly. So, when you talked about how you defeated an incumbent by 1 vote, that reminds me of a certain Vermont politician who ran for mayor and he beat an incumbent by 10 votes, and then went on to become a congressman, a senator, and almost Democratic candidate for the president, Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, well, I just hosted an event actually a mile from our house here in Braddock with Senator Sanders, 3 weeks ago? It was right before the election for Joe Biden. So yeah, he was just here, like I said, just 3 weeks ago. So
Bernie's a proud son of Burlington, and we're very proud of him.
Other than Ben and Jerry's, I mean, it doesn't get any bigger than that, does it? I mean,
no, it doesn't. And we got Ben and Jerry too.
And Burlington, you and I, we were just speaking before. We eloped in Burlington back in 2008. So, and we go back every 5 years. So we love Vermont and Burlington.
So why did you choose Burlington to escape to?
Oh, I love Vermont. Like if things ever didn't work out in Pennsylvania, I would love to be the newest resident of the Green State. I just have always loved Vermont, and it was just a road trip, and we got married in the front yard of a justice of the peace up there in Burlington, and again, was one of the best times of my life.
Oh, that's great, because I wish I know, because I'm a justice of the peace, and you know when I heard that,
now you tell. Well, maybe after we're 13 years. Maybe our 15th we'll have a vow renewal that you could preside over.
Oh, it was so funny when I heard that you got married by a justice of the peace. I was racking my head. Did I marry him? Did I marry him? But I checked, and it was a female. And I checked a few of my female friends who are justices of the peace, and none of them. It wasn't any of them. So I'm curious to find out who that was.
It was a very nice older lady, and we did it in her front yard. In fact, she actually even picked a couple flowers out of her garden and gave them to Gisele.
So
and
I will look up her name in the.
Okay.
It should be in the certificate. So
it was just part of reason number 943 that we love Burlington and Vermont, and it was just great.
And I saw that you were back here for one of your anniversaries, and there was a beautiful picture of Gisele, and I could tell you were at Lunig's restaurant.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
We went there the night right after we got married as well. That's where we had dinner. So we always go back, and we always get a glass. They have these glasses you could take home. We always take one back.
You have good taste. I know you have good taste if you went to Lunig's. That's one of my.
She ended up with me, so let's not say she has great taste, but nevertheless, this isn't schmaltz. I mean, like genuinely, love Burlington and go back there as often as we can, and every 5 years. That's our every fifth wedding anniversary we go back to Burlington.
So you have a date coming up with you next time we're in town.
I'd love that, and I'll take you a tour of the town too, some places that you might not have found yet. So Gisele, I do want to say that you are one very lucky person. Do you know that? Because I rarely let anyone more pretty than I on the show. And you're coming close, girl.
It only encourages her. That's not helpful. It only encourages her.
So how did you two meet?
You want to tell? I'll tell my story.
I don't even want to talk about this.
I came to visit Braddock. I had read about this community, and I was doing work at that time in food justice and food access out of Newark, New Jersey, which was another city that had seen its challenges. And I was curious about the work that was happening here, and I had never read about a city that lost so much. Braddock lost 90% of its population, its buildings, its businesses. So I wanted to see what that looked like or that felt like. And I arrived to visit. And of course, he fell madly in love with me as I entered the town. And here I am.
Which isn't true. But she says that knowing that if you take one look at both of us, it's true. You're going to believe her. But it's not true. She did come and visit. That part's true. But yes. We celebrated our 13th anniversary this past June, and it all started in Burlington. So
that is super. Now, I heard that you have some tattoos, Lieutenant Governor. Is that correct?
I do. I have Braddock zip code here, and it's really it will always be a part of me. It's where we chose to all three of our children, Gisele. All had them home water births. All three of the kids, they were all born here in Braddock, and we live here. We don't. The Lieutenant Governor has a mansion in Harrisburg, and we're the first to decline to live in it. In fact, insisted that the state divest itself of it, which they have. So
they did.
They did. Yes, it's where it's our home is. Yeah.
Well, how's cool. And you live in a renovated Chevy dealership, I believe.
Correct. Yeah, you can. There's pictures floating around online. I guess it's Design Sponge or something. If you Google it. And it was an old Chevy dealership built in 1922, Superior Motors, which downstairs, of course, before this awful pandemic hit, was a national class restaurant that same name that has won a bunch of awards, that is the national profile. and then a smaller black box theater in the back.
Okay, so Gisele, so tell me about some of your activism. I understand you have many interests that you promote.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So I have the free store, which I started in 2012, and it's what it's called. It's a free store. It was one of the first free stores in the country where we are able to provide items to families in need at no cost. So anything from diapers to formula. And these are all items that would have otherwise ended up in the landfill, but they're perfectly good. So I really care about the environmental impact. But coming from a third world country, moving here and just witnessing the excess. Like as a young kid, we dumpster dived. I saw the waste and how much was discarded, both retail wise as well as just in regular homes. And I wanted to create a way that we can save that, but do it in a really dignified way. So, we're entirely volunteer run, we're efficient, we're solar powered, and we're just kind of this magical little happy place where we can share things with each other.
So I understand the other day you went to Costco and picked up a few items.
Yes, yesterday, Saturday.
500 pumpkin pies. Costco ordered too many, or they didn't sell as many as they thought. And these are perfectly good pies. I mean, they would sell them. And she has a relationship with Costco and other retailers like Trader Joe's and others, that all of their surplus stuff, or hey, they get a new load of bananas in, and they, all this stuff used to get thrown out, and it's perfectly good food. Can you imagine throwing 500 pumpkin pies in the dumpster that are perfectly good? I mean, and this kind of capturing and rescuing and putting and matching, like who, no matter how weird and conservative you are, would you rather have a pumpkin pie go in a dumpster than on someone's table? And it's all at no cost, and it saves dumpster space. It's, methane, everything. So it's a win-win. But yeah, just yesterday.
And in this day in the COVID, the food insecurity is just growing and growing. So thank you very much. That is great. And is that part of your free store as well?
Yeah, and then I started another nonprofit after that grew out of the free store. So, rescuing food, all these surplus items. I really care about showing the value in not only people and places like my community, but in things as well. So, we do that through efforts where through For Good PGH, which is my other nonprofit with a partner, we work to uplift women. We have a incubator space designed for women in the community. So we really believe in growing the community from within. So, all sorts of support. We think women will save the world. We believe in investing in women. So we do a lot of women-centric work through the other nonprofit. But I try to think of things that would have helped my mom, who was a single mom, raising us in a country where we didn't speak the language, we didn't have any money. I think of programming that would have helped my family when we really needed it, and I try to create those programs here in the work that I do.
All right. So I know you work with this locally there where you live. Now, are you, being the second lady of woman person of Pennsylvania, do you do any statewide initiatives?
I do. I recently wrapped up a tour with the census.
Yeah, they picked her to be the face of the census in Pennsylvania, not me. And I was just like, what the hell? So it's part of an ongoing pattern where she's everyone's favorite.
Parents love me more, for sure. It's true. So I just wrapped up a tour with the census where we really work to get everyone counted. I get to live my truth and tell my story. I came to this country as a young immigrant. I'm a former dreamer. I lived in fear for a really long time, and now I get to kind of really live openly. So I'm grateful for whatever platform I have for however long to work on these issues that I really care about.
So, Lieutenant Governor, I understand that at one time you had 2 flags hanging outside your office that the Republicans didn't like. Can you tell me about that?
Sure. My office has a large balcony that's kind of like prime real estate in Harrisburg that you basically can't walk into the Capitol without walking underneath my balcony. So I hang the first time ever in Harrisburg. I hang the Pride and Trans Pride flag off the balcony, and I'm also a big fan of legalizing weed, which you guys, of course, and marijuana flags. And this so incensed my Republican colleagues that they literally changed the law to try to ban that practice. And of course, it's absurd on its face. Where like what they're going to. Unless the Pennsylvania State Police has like the gay flag division to come see them, I don't know who they would even call to maybe take them down. So we ordered some great new ones. They just arrived the other day. So we're going to redouble those efforts to go that until Pennsylvania acknowledges that everyone deserves equal protection under the law, and that we give our residents the freedom, the revenue, the justice, the jobs that comes with legalizing weed too in Pennsylvania.
Where does Pennsylvania stand on that now?
We have work to do. I mean, and it's a similar refrain where it's the Republicans that keep jamming these things up, and these things that are self-evident as far as I'm concerned. This idea that it doesn't matter who you love, how you identify, or criminalizing the use of a plant or any of these things. It's just absurd, and it's counterproductive, and it should be part of this shared basket of beliefs that that I don't understand why it's even a debate. I don't know why it's considered progressive or whatever. It's just basic. It's equal protection under the law, and it's just common sense as far as I'm concerned.
So, do you fear any thing that the current president might do before he leaves office that could hamper any of your favorite issues?
I don't, and his time is over, and he's just unfortunately going out in a very undignified and damaging way. But he knows too. Like nobody in this country knows better than he does that his time is up. He knows that, and he is more than happy to again create as much damage as he can on the way out. But now that we know and we can expect it and we can plan on it, I think that'll minimize the kind of what would have been unthinkable 4 years ago and even unfortunate 6 months ago is now kind of like whatever. I mean, we expect it, and it's still going to go. I mean, they're still going to try to do the whole electoral college thing, and they're moving their snake handling jamboree to Arizona tomorrow, and then the snake handlers go to Michigan. So part of this, like, I don't know what it is, this sad traveling, carnival barking that they try to stir this up when, what would be helpful for their cause would be actual voter fraud, which they haven't been able to produce it at all.
Now, I understand the lieutenant governor of Texas offered a big reward for anybody who could prove voter fraud.
My dude in Texas was like, I want voter fraud, and I'll pay $1 million, reward if you can demonstrate voter fraud that leads to criminal charges. And I was like, well, hey, dude, we got 2 cases in Pennsylvania. They both happen to involve Republicans voting for Trump on behalf of either dead or living relatives, which is hilarious, but that is immaterial because it demonstrates just how rare and how hard voter fraud is to perpetrate.
So what are you going to do with your share of the $1 million?
He just ghosted us. Like we went to collect.
And we were all going to donate it to the Greater Pittsburgh Food Bank, but he of course stiffed us. But we delivered on our end. He said he wanted fraud. I'm like, here, dude, here's the fraud. And I guess he wasn't sincere. But what is true, and the good news, if you can call it that, is 1, no voter fraud. And 2, a month after the election, with hundreds of lawyers and millions of dollars at their disposal, that's all they got.
I totally understand. Believe it or not, you're not the first Pennsylvania politician I've had on my show. Back before the election, I did a show with a lot of GLBT related candidates, and your own Jessica Benham was a guest on my show. And that was exciting to have her, and she was elected.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to her taking it over in the House, and she's great. And yeah, I mean, there's lots of reasons, and she's one more to be optimistic. And some of these things that I just wish we could just add to this collective basket of understanding in terms of public policy and what an empathetic society would want for all of its residents. So yeah, she's great, and she's the first LGBTQ and autistic state rep in Pennsylvania's history.
That's amazing. And I've mentioned him many times, but could you put in a few words, a good word for Brian Sims for me? I always like looking at him.
For sure.
Yeah. Brian, of course, Brian's very, never shy about sharing how he feels about things. So yeah, he's out in front as always.
All right. So I have one more question. After the election, when the Democrats didn't get as many House or Senate seats as they thought they should, someone, I believe she was from Virginia, said that we can't call ourselves Democratic Socialists. That's not working. What are your feelings on that?
Well, I respect anyone that calls themselves a Democratic Socialist. I respect this idea that you want to blame anyone. I would never blame a more conservative member or a more liberal member or anyone member. He or she has the right to represent their own districts in a way that they believe that they were elected to do. I don't like the kind of circular firing squad mentality of, well, it's your fault that I lost, or it's your fault that I didn't do this, or whatever, because we're in a post-truth election world right now. And it's like look, we have a president saying that this was the greatest rigged election in the history. I mean, like, truth is becoming increasingly less relevant. So they're going to say whatever they're going to say. And I don't think after the year we've had, I don't want our guns trained on anybody metaphorically, but certainly not amongst Democrats. So it's a matter of represent the people to your best of ability and what you believe and what you want them to articulate. And, that's fine.
Great. All right. Well, I'll let you guys take a little break and go tend to your son's tooth and go back to the green room, and we'll be back and bring you back on because we want you to talk with Hal Sparks. So thank you so much, and we'll talk to you later. Thank you. Oh my, wasn't that fascinating? That was so cool. All right. So I think Russell has a word from one of our sponsors. Ho, ho, ho! The holidays are almost here, and you need to find gifts for everyone. And you can't go to the store, so shop online. And this year, give great gifts to those you love. How about a mug for dear old Dad? Or a great hoodie for that niece who just started college this year? Even though she's stuck in her dorm, isn't going to classes, but she needs a new hoodie anyway. And don't forget your favorite uncle who took you to your first gay bar. Yes, next year when he goes to his gay nudist vacation, he's going to need a beach towel. And what about all your friends at the gym? They could use a muscle shirt. And who couldn't use another mask? We have something for everyone. Visit Amber Live TV and order today. And don't forget to get yourself a present while you're shopping. You'll not only look great, but you'll feel great too. Ho, ho, ho!
Remember, you can get all your great Amber merch at amberlive.tv on shirts, on mugs, on we have masks and all kinds of wonderful products, and they make great Christmas gifts. And our friend Mark sent us a picture this week to tell us that they are gifts that give back. There he is. It is Amber Live t-shirt. He's suggesting that you shop local this year, and nothing could be more local than Amber Live. So thank you very much for your support.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, Mark. Let's show that caption picture one more time. So if you have an idea for a caption, write caption and then put it in the comments, and Jack will bring the best ones up at the end of the show. Whew. Yeah. All right. So now, direct from his appearance at the Boston Comedy Club is Hal Sparks. Hey, Hal. Hey, Hal. How the hell are you?
I'm spectacular. There you are. Hi.
Hi there. So good to see you. So you just did a gig at the Boston Comedy Club, or with them?
It was the Boston Comedy Festival, which of course is being done via one of my home clubs in Burbank, Flappers, where I do a monthly improv stand-up show where I do an hour of what's commonly known as wit in the prosaic parlance of our centuries on Earth. And so they asked me to be a part of the Boston Comedy Festival. So I did a set for them, green screen background in front of this thing. So yeah, it's been good. It's a party.
So that's how you're keeping busy these days?
Yeah, that and a series of like honeydew lists my girlfriend gives me to, because I have no excuse anymore to not fix the light in the garage and, that all that kind of stuff. Although I've lost the argument about me building French doors on the back of the house, because I personally believe they're not French doors unless you open them with your tongue. So that's my rule. And she's not for that kind of locking mechanism.
So how long have you been in the entertainment business?
Gosh, past lives or just this one? I would go with I started acting and doing stand-up when I was 14 years old. I did my first professional stand-up gig when I was 15. I did my first professional acting job when I was 16. And then I just kind of hoofed it until I broke through on Talk Soup in 2000. And so everything was, I called the 90s the Sisyphus years. Because
so Talk Soup was your first big thing.
Well, it was the one that stuck. See, I had a bunch. The reason the 90s were, as much work as they were is because I had a lot of shows. I had a lot of things happen, but then they would backslide into nothingness. So I would get a show, or I'd get a manager that was great, and then, they would quit the biz or get arrested. There were all sorts of like weird moments where I was like, I got it. No, you don't got it. And so I learned a permanent form of resilience because of that, though. And I've always, my dream as an actor, honest to God, is to be like Hume Cronin or Mick, like Burgess Meredith, or Alan Arkin. I want to be the old guy in the movie. And that takes a long time. I can't rush that.
No, you can't. So you've had a lot of projects since then, and I'm sure you get a lot of people coming up to you on the street, go, I know you, I know you. So sure. So what do you tell them?
Well, if they say that, then they actually know my name and they know everything about it. The only reason they're confused is because I might be wearing a mask. Although I will say that these days, it's really, this is the time to find out how famous you are. Because I have been recognized multiple times while wearing a mask, even with my hair grown out, which is a rare look for me. I've done it a few times in my known years. I had hair down to my ass early part of the 90s and late 80s. So it's not that shocking to people who know me. But if I've just been Michael Novotny or Donald Davenport, or you've seen me on the I Love Those, it's been mostly short hair. So you wouldn't just spot me immediately. But just from this, I've had people come up and go, I loved you on Lab Rats, or I love your show, or whatever. So I think I'm more famous than I think I am a lot of times, which is very strange because I think I'm very famous. I'm very impressed with myself personally. But yeah, so the thing, nobody knows me from, everybody either knows me from multiple things because ubiquity is my only tool. I didn't grow up in the business. I don't have any relatives in the business. I didn't get a leg up anywhere, So I have a lot of pockets of fans that know one thing, or overreaching fans that know everything. And it's a great place to be because it's nice to have people come and go, I love your show. And I have to go, which one?
So I know a lot of my friends know you from Queer as Folk.
Sure.
So tell me something. How'd you get involved with that?
Yeah, it was extraordinary. Honest to God, I was on Talk Soup when they were casting Queer as Folk initially, and no one would audition for fear it would ruin their career. And they were having a really hard time casting many of the roles, not just Michael, but it was tough. And luckily, I was fired from Talk Soup, and I got Dude, Where's My Car right after that. And I was filming Dude, Where's My Car when my agent at the time and my manager both presented the script to me, and they said they're still trying to cast this. They haven't found anybody. We don't think it's a good idea, but we know you, and we know that you'll appreciate it. And it was a huge hit in England. It's very critically acclaimed. It's a very important script, but everyone else we represent is turning it down because it will ruin their career. And I said, well, I don't have a career. I have a legend, and that's more important. And so I read the script. I thought it was fantastic. I was very impressed by the writing and the content. And it passed what I would call the Malkovich test for me, which is it doesn't matter whether it will be popular or whether people will like it or not. Is it a good piece of work that deserves doing? Ooh. And it did. And so I went in and auditioned. Now, they only saw me because the execs liked me from Talk Soup. They didn't think I could act. I hadn't done dramatic work that they had ever seen. Most of that was plays I did in Chicago, right? I'm a stand-up, and I just got off of doing the Talk Soup for a year, where I'm doing largely sketches and hosting, and I was shooting Zoltan and Dude, Where's My Car in a bubble wrap jumpsuit. And you're going to run to the first episode where one of my best friends nearly dies of a drug overdose, and we're weeping at his bedside. So I'm not their first choice. Let's be abundantly clear. But their first choice wouldn't read for it, and their second choice wouldn't either, and their third choice didn't do very well or didn't fit. And so I came in after being their 750th choice, and in the middle of it, Ron, one of the execs, leaned over to Dan, his partner, and went, "Did you know he could act?" And that literally, and that's how I got the part. They literally were like, that's the guy. And I'm like, yeah, I don't have to. Michael was on the page. You can see him. And when I read the script, I'm like, that person exists. So my job is to tune in the rabbit ear antennas until he shows up character wise. And so I gave him some physical affectations based on backstory that was in the script, and partly in the script, partly stuff I'd intuited, and partly stuff that I had assumed based on his behavior had to come from somewhere. And I gave him a halting walk where he when he enters a room, he kind of stops himself. I made him eat with his spoon and fork like a child because he was sort of stunted in that way. And my dad had a friend named Dennis who lived with us in Chicago for a little while he was doing Pump Boys and Dinettes on stage down there. And he was an actor from Tennessee. He was singing in that show. And he stayed on our couch for a month. And he ate cereal like a kid. And I was like, he's a grown man. I was 15 when I saw this. And I was like, that's amazing. I have to remember that later. And it came in handy because that's very Michael. If you think of Michael eating, he eats, like it's a tool, right? And so giving him those things and then just allowing the heart of what he was saying to speak more loudly than any of the details of the words he was saying. That was the thing, is that I had to find the heart of everything that he was saying, because he was in love with Brian. He's in love with the world. He's angry at his mother, but he loves her. Michael's in love with everything. And you have to he's the guy who can find the thing to love about everything.
I think Michael was the character that most people identified with. I mean, we all know a Brian. We all know the Sunshine.
I don't. The funniest thing about playing Michael was the daily realization that I would never have a friend like Brian. Fuck that guy. In my own life, you know what I mean? Because I have a strong sense of self. I've decent carved out my personality fairly well, I think. And if anybody was in my life who behaved like that towards me, piss off. That wouldn't last a week. I'd be like, who's this dick? But when that's in there, you got to find that guy, right? So anyway, so yeah, so I guess everybody, knows one of those other characters, knows their Teds, knows their Emmets.
Ted, yeah, yes,
Yeah.
Emmett, yes. Oh God, we all know Emmets.
Right.
So
Yeah.
do you keep in contact with any of them, or is that?
Yeah, Bobby Gant and I talk every so often, and I'm so proud of the relationship we created on that show.
Bobby was.
Oh, he played Ben. He played Michael's husband on the
Yes,
show.
yes.
And like we became very close as professionally and as friends doing that role, because it was a lot of very vulnerable stuff, that we were shooting, not just the physical scenes, but also emotionally. You want to see something? I just found this in my move. I had some stuff in storage, and I was, keeping it in air conditioned, protected comfort. But this right there, that is Michael's wedding ring from when he and Ben got married. I still have it. And there were two of them. They have the second one, but I have the original. And
Wow.
it's what, hold on one second. That's not even the first of it. Hold on. This is probably the thing, more than the ring. I think this little piece of memorabilia is something people will appreciate. I have this up on my board. This right here. This is wardrobe.
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah, this is the whole outfit one day. This is several times during the shooting of Queer as Folk. That's all I'm wearing, And for those of you that are whatever, it stretches, and B, it was cold in Canada, so cut me some slack. But we would wear these little pouches, for both modesty and hygiene amongst everybody.
So were you in a relationship at the time?
I had a girlfriend in Toronto the entire time I was up there. The first year, it was very weird, because when I got Queer as Folk, I did not know we were we were shooting in Canada. And so I got the role. I had gone through the audition process, everything. And they literally said, get packed. And I went, what do you mean get packed? He said, well, it shoots in Toronto. And I'd already signed all the contracts, every aspect of it. Again, this is not with the history of the show behind us, but the possibility of the show in front of us, which was Showtime wasn't even sure they could air it once they shot it. We ran into legal problems right up to the day it aired because of the question about Justin's age and the age of consent what it boiled down to the age of consent in Pennsylvania. And because there is no age of consent for gay kids, because it's just all illegal. The old laws just still apply. So there had to be a big back and forth about this. So they tell me, oh, you're moving to Canada. My friends had to move my apartment and stuff into storage for me, because I didn't have, I moved into a place up there. I didn't take my shit with me. So my friends just kind of packed it all up. It was like I died. And I moved up to Toronto, and I don't know anybody in the cast at this point. Just met them. I don't have any friends in Toronto. I've never been to the place before. I was just at that time beginning to learn to speak Chinese. So I got an apartment as close as I could to Chinatown, figuring that I could practice, eating and going over to restaurants and stores there, and that would be part of it. So I lived at King and Bathurst in Toronto the entire run of Queer as Folk. I rented a condo there and just kept it the whole run. And it was like, it was like home, And so we were just shooting the pilot, and there was this beautiful girl, Stephanie, who was an extra and part of it. And the whole, all the straight dudes in the crew were like, oh my God, who is that girl? It's just brutal. And I'm like, well, go ask her out. And they're like, I don't think I got to ask her. I got to say, look at her. No. And I'm like, well, I'll go. And they'll go, well, yeah, because you're in a TV show. Of course she'll talk to you. I'm like, I'm an American actor. She doesn't know my shit. She doesn't know me from anybody, and I won't break it to her that she hasn't seen me shoot anything. Maybe I suck. It could be terrible. It could be as bad as it is good. And so Stephanie and I dated for like a year and a half. Initially, she'd never been to New York. I took her to the premiere of Queer as Folk in New York when we did that at Showtime. It was just lovely. And then she moved, and so I started dating someone else named Ava, and she and I were together the entire run of the rest of the time I was in Toronto. Still good friends.
Great stories. That was such a great series. I bartended at a gay bar during that time, and on Sunday nights we would watch the reruns at 11 o'clock every night.
Right.
We'd turn the everybody quiet down because we wanted to know what's happening.
That's right.
All right. So speed up. What's happened to you the past 6 months? I know you're very politically active. So,
yeah.
So what are you doing?
Well, once everything shut down, I tour as a stand-up. That's one of my primary things that I do in between shows. And it's the gift that keeps me from being just an actor waiting for the phone to ring. That's always been the thing that's kept me afloat. And why, quite frankly, I've been able to pick stuff to do that other people were a little iffy about, because I can always fall back to stand up and be myself. I don't get typecast as characters the way some actors do, because I'm a known entity as a human being outside the character, right? And that's very helpful. And so I plan my year based on, there won't be a show. I just have to make my own show. So I book stand up all year long, like a year in advance, effectively. And then when this all came grinding to a halt, all of it dried up. And I made a point that I didn't quite know where it was going to go. But I have a radio show I've had for 10 years. I do a political talk radio show on Saturdays on WCPT radio in Chicago. And I've been doing it kind of as a civil, an act of civics, where the station keeps the money from the advertising. I do the show for free, but I talk about political issues and stuff that I care about. You can take it or leave it. And I hope to motivate voters and try to increase voter turnout mainly, and inform people on stuff. I've been doing it for a long time.
And you get on Facebook every day for.
Yeah. So now then, yeah. So that's my radio show started as a Ustream show that I was doing from Toronto during Queer as Folk. And because I was not connected with people and I was reaching out, and then that became a live stream show, and then it became streaming on YouTube. And now I'm on Periscope, YouTube, Twitch, which is the main one, twitch.tv/Hal Sparks, and YouTube. And so all four of those kind of firing at once, so that different audiences that use different platforms can come see the show. It's where it works. I no doubt that you do similarly with your show, which is fantastic.
Yes.
And so
something to do.
Yes. Well, in the process, I was like, people are losing their shit a little bit. This is very shocking for a lot of people. And it's very hard to deal with. And I went, well, maybe at least with my fans and the people who like my radio show, I have my setup here. I can just stream every day during lockdown, right? That was like, maybe I'll just do that. I don't know how long it'll last or what we'll end up doing, but we'll just do it for the time being, right? And hopefully we won't have to do it for very long and things will go back to normal. But if they don't, maybe it helps me cheer some people up. Right. And
all right. So I don't believe you've appeared at the Vermont Comedy Club yet.
No.
You need to. It's a beautiful club run by wonderful people. And so make that on your tour the next time you're in the area. All right.
I insist.
So let's bring I see Gisele still in the dressing room there. So let's bring Gisele out. Have you two met before?
No. Hi, Gisele.
Hi, Hal. It's great to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. And I loved watching you and your husband both on the news talking about this ridiculousness, the current unpleasantness we're all going through. And I have to say, you both handled it with a plum and class and humor. It's great to watch.
He's so sad he's missing. He had to take a call, so he's like, "Tell him I love him."
Oh, that's great. Well, I adore both of you. It's great.
I have an important question for you, Hal. How does it feel to be the creator of this? I mean, like Pittsburgh. This is where I am. This is huge here. Like,
I know.
Say, my God, I did this.
It was the weirdest thing. I have the Zoltan Bucks jersey that I have. I've got a Pirates jersey with Zoltan on the back of it. I threw out the first pitch at one of the games. Did that. The whole stadium did the Zoltan. The fact that became a thing. So, and this kind of ties together because Queer as Folk and Dude, Where's My Car debuted the same weekend. Same weekend, both of these projects came out at the same time. So you could not be more ridiculous career-wise as far as a divergence in what's showing up. And this thing, so they had a thing in the call sheet. They needed a symbol. They wanted all the Zoltan cult to do something kind of like Star Trek. They wanted to do like a Vulcan salute kind of thing. But they couldn't figure out what it was. They didn't know what the thing was. They didn't want it to look like a gang symbol. But they were like, we can't figure out what we want them to do something, but what is it? And they put a thing in the call sheet that said, whoever comes up with it gets $29.37, I think is how much it was. We're going to give you $29.37. Whoever comes up with the Zoltan hand thing. And so I went, well, it's my cult. Clearly, I should be responsible for coming up with the thing. So I went home that night and I literally sat down and got a notepad and I was like, all right, what can we do? And I originally had this two Vulcan versions of things where you got it. That was too complicated. A lot of people couldn't do that. And so I was back and forth. And eventually I was just like, a giant Z will get the point across as fast as anything. Pow. And so I came in the next day and I was like, boink, this is what we do. Everybody goes Zoltan. They go, Zoltan. And they were like, that's amazing. We're doing it. And years later, out of the blue, somebody messages me and goes, the Pirates are now using your Zoltan hand symbol anytime they hit a base hit or a home run. And there's hundreds of pictures of people, slide.
I have a t-shirt. And I was like, should I wear it today or it's going to be kind of creepy?
It's not creepy at all. It's fantastic. I can't tell you. And of all the things that I do, and I'm very glad that I think Jim Carrey put it best when they go, how does it feel when people run up to you on the street? And he goes, people always show me their best selves. It's a beautiful thing. They try to imitate him. They're trying to be funny, but they always really try to show up and go, hey, you made me laugh. And with Michael on Queer as Folk, everybody's so gracious and lovely about him. And with Zoltan, I used to be sitting at a restaurant and then 10 teenagers would walk by and then they would run back and go, Zoltan, and then run away. And then this added another level to it where people were buying T-shirts with it on towels. And I have to say, it blew my mind. Now, this is the interesting part. So my girlfriend, her family is from Pittsburgh. And there's a Soltis Lane that her dad built all the houses on there by hand with his relatives. That's how long they've been there, just outside. And they're Pirates fans and all this kind of stuff. And this thing came up and they taking her grandmother, who's since passed, to games. And I said, well, let me reach out to them and see if I can just go and take everybody because of the Zoltan thing, just to take her to a game. And we have all these wonderful pictures. And like I said, she passed away last year. And we have all these wonderful pictures of my girlfriend and her mom, her grandmother, doing this in the dugout of the Pirates game that they got to go to. And so there's just the way it all tied together just makes me believe that there are gears in the universe that work in spite of all things. You know what I mean? That just some stuff just clicks together. So odd. Queer as Folk took place in Pittsburgh, theoretically. We shot it in Toronto. Meanwhile, these both came out on the same day. The Zoltan thing becomes part of the Pittsburgh Pirates. If we'd have shot Queer as Folk later, people would have been doing the symbol from my movie thing. And it's so weird. It's just so weird, but beautiful.
So, all right.
Yeah.
So I'm a Pirates fan as well. I've got stories about that. Anyway, so I was going to ask if you'd ever been to Pittsburgh, and obviously now you have.
I had never been before I shot Queer as Folk, or even during, because for whatever reason, it just didn't work out that way. And I insisted that I was going to make it to Pittsburgh before the show ended. That was my goal. I was like, I'm going to get down there and do something, either it's stand up or something. And we were always shooting or always doing something else. And then my band played the finale of Queer as Folk in one of the bars downtown. My band opened, and then we played the final episode of Queer as Folk for everybody in Pittsburgh. That was my first time in Pittsburgh, was my band playing there.
All
and
right.
that was, yeah.
So, all right, I'd like to ask a political question of you two.
Sure.
What is your sincerest hope January 20th? What happens on January 20th?
Oh, well, I mean, Biden's going to get sworn in, and he's going to undo a bunch of he's got a lot of paperwork to do that day. He's going to be undoing a lot of executive orders and reestablishing some normalcy. That's really what his day is going to be like. It's literally just going to be like, okay, fuck that. Fuck that. Like, that's what it is. Like, no more kids in cages. So there you go. Paris Climate Accord. Here we go. We'll go back into that. That's really it. On a personal level, it's hard to say. Gisele?
I'm looking forward to normalizing like decent people again, right? Like I caught Biden on TV and I was like, oh my God, he sounds so nice and normal. Like what? Like I got used to this nonsense for the last 4 years, and that's become normal, and I hate that.
Yeah.
I want that to go away. I look forward to hearing someone sound presidential and kind and compassionate and not having to like check Twitter every day to see if we're in World War IV. This idea that we have to worry about our president's behavior every single day is absurd. And I have a lot of respect for civil servants and elected officials. I really do. At their base, like just choosing to do that. I don't have a chip on my shoulder about quote unquote politicians. I think that's childish. I think long-term public service is a great career choice for people, and it's a skill people develop over time. There's a reason why you elevate up, mayor to congressperson to senator and on up, because you learn the skills necessary to manage the kind of things that are there. But the fact that we become anti-civil servant is a little weird to me. But in the process, I agree. I think it would be lovely if we go back to semi-boring in our world. We check in on the president about every 10 days, not every 6 minutes is the goal. So, yeah, I think for me it was so sad. So I'm an immigrant from Brazil, and my whole time living in this country, my family all have dreamt of coming to America, right? Like it's a regular conversation every time I spoke to them. And one day they were just like, "We're good." And I was like, you know what I mean? They were just like, "We don't want to move there anymore."
All right. Dark Sage 9117 has asked that they say I voted for President Trump twice for economic reasons only. I also was a very outspoken critic of his many times. I called him out on many vile things he said. I do not condone racism at all. I also do not back the wall he wanted and many other political positions he has. However, I am very disturbed by how the media treated me for 4 years, labeling me a Nazi, a racist, bigot, among other things. I respect Biden voters and Trump voters regardless of how they are and their beliefs. My question is, someone who has unfairly labeled a racist who was attacked when I was a very outspoken critic of President Trump, how should Democrats and Joe Biden reach out to me?
Well, I would say primarily, if that is indeed your belief system and you are just an economic voter, that it is not incumbent on Biden or any of his voters to reach out to you at all. You as an adult who clearly care about economic issues should be able to just interact with other people and not be coaxed into normalcy again. If indeed the things that you're talking about are things you don't like about him, then those are not traits you will exhibit in your normal life, and that I can't see why they would ever come up. You are responsible for how people react to you, and people, and if your language is so far off from, the majority in this particular instance of 80 million people who voted the other way, then it's on you to shift that way, in the same way that I shifted my language so as to not speak ill of every Republican voter every time I spoke, which if you watch any of my streams, I'm the one, I make a very clear distinction between what I would call the maggots and Trumpsters, who are, in that what Hillary Clinton was trying to make her case with the basket of deplorables thing. She made that case. She was literally making the case that this person is making, which is the vast majority of people are just Republican voters who have beliefs about the system and they just don't agree with us. There's a group of these people over here who are like the basket of deplorables. It was the Trump campaign and et al. That spread the basket of deplorables thing over the entire swath of Republicans to gain the strength of the volume of those human beings instead of allowing themselves to be bifurcated from the mass. And I would argue that if you're not those things, it's not going to come up. Nobody's going to accuse you of being a racist or a sexist or a bigot unless you behave in racist, sexist, or bigoted ways. If you voted for Trump simply for economic reasons, your problem isn't that you're a racist, a sexist, or a bigot, is that you're comfortable with racism, sexism, and bigotry in a way that other people aren't, and they're going to have some questions for you. They're going to go, why is that okay? And what's the big economic, huge difference that Trump is somehow giving us as a gift? Literally more people on food stamps right now than any time in our history. So,
Gisele, how would you reach out to that person?
I would say, I'm sorry if you have felt that way, but I would challenge you to also think about other people when you vote. I think that's really important. When I vote, I think about who is the most vulnerable that my vote will impact. And I think it's really important to care about other people. So I would challenge you to maybe go out of your comfort and go outside, just your home and think about your neighbors as well. And I think a lot of that was created by our president. There was a point where you could vote differently and you can believe in different things, but you could still be kind and civil to each other.
Right.
This has come directly from the president that you voted for. So, thank you for saying that you've pushed back against a lot of the things you saw, but hopefully this is where the healing begins and we get back to that place where we can disagree and still be kind and respectful to each other.
Amen, Gisele. Amen. So thank you both so much for being on the show tonight.
Of course.
Hal, I do have a proposition for you.
Well, that always happens.
If you would ever want to get the cast of Queer as Folk together for a reunion, I'm here every Sunday night, so would love to be a part of it.
I would crowbar as many of them in here as we possibly could. I have no problem with that whatsoever.
Okay.
By the way, Gisele, tell John I'm a big fan and give him a hug for me. And I know this, in all seriousness, sometimes when you handle stuff well, people don't realize the pressure and difficulty that actually exists. And I think that's what I'm impressed with both of you, is that I know there's genuine stress and in some cases genuine danger in dealing with some of these things sometimes. And I just, to be able to be as sort of open-hearted as you are and as, as sensible as the two of you are together and still maintain your wit and charm about you, is a skill in and of itself. And I appreciate that every time I see either or both of you on my television set. I'm just saying. Genuinely.
And Gisele, I have a question for you.
Is it a proposition too?
Sure, John's gone.
Right.
So, no.
Look out.
In 2 years, John's term as lieutenant governor will be up, and there will be an open governor's office and an open Senate seat in Pennsylvania. What are you thinking about?
I think we're exploring both things, but see, currently I am Slop, which is the second lady of Pennsylvania, right? And I need the name that's going to sound best for me. So that's how we're going to make this decision. So how can I improve Slop?
Right. Well, Flop is pretty good. Flop,
from slop to flop.
Yeah, that, honest to God, Gisele, that is your autobiography title. From Slop to Flop, how you can live your dreams in the wonderful Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I'm just saying, I'm a marketing genius. All right.
Thank you so much. Give John my love and appreciation. Thank you so much. What a great show. I hope you'll both come back sometime.
I insist.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Cheers. Thanks, Gisele.
Oh, wow. I could talk or let them talk for another hour, but I know you've got things to do. So, but I know we have someone else waiting for us. Rocco.
Hey,
Rocco. Sorry to keep you waiting there, Rocco.
Nothing. That was fantastic. Are you kidding me? I could have listened all night.
Oh my goodness, such great icons.
I feel like an idiot even being here after that. Yeah, I feel like an idiot. That's true.
So how was your holiday weekend, Rocco?
It was weird.
Why is that?
Working, reading books to nurses because they couldn't be home with the families. And then, I come home and I got to make myself a turkey sandwich. Whatever. It's good.
So what would you like to talk about tonight?
Well, now it seems irrelevant because that was so fantastic. But anyway, I was talking about because, it's the beginning of the Christmas season. Am I right?
Yes. Yeah.
And, what do people do in the beginning of the Christmas season besides shopping? They put up decorations. Now, what a joyous time of year that is. Unless it's the pain in the ass that it becomes for me every year.
And why is that?
Have you ever tried putting up multiple lights on a house? It sucks. Let me tell you something. First of all, you got to untangle this shit. And then you finally do. And guess what? None of it works. None of it. So you got a big bunch of lights either you already put up or you're just holding on to saying, I don't know what to do. And none of it works. So you got to go to the store and buy more of that crap that ain't going to work next year. And then, you know what? I don't know if you noticed, but there's this term out there called blow mold. Now, when I first heard this term blow mold, I was thinking it's one of those strange addictions, you know? Like some guy who gets off on blowing mushrooms. I don't know. You know, I mean, a fun guy blowing a fun guy. Hey, we all got a thing. But no, I was wrong. It turns out I've even got blow molds. I got so many blow molds, it's ridiculous. These things, what the hell? The angel of death here doesn't work. It doesn't light up, and apparently her wings are blue. Get her the hell out of here. But this lovely little bitch works. Light up my light. Anyway, those are blow molds. Did you know that, Amber?
I did not know that. No.
I mean, I picture you blowing mold a little more. Yeah, this show's still on, you bastard. What's the matter? You can't hang out for Rocco? Mark? Always got something to say, don't you? Anyway, so, you know, you fall off the roof, you break some limbs, you know, things like that. Anybody who's put up Christmas lights knows this is a typical hazard you got to deal with. So, what's the best thing to do? Screw it. Just throw the whole damn bunch of lights on the front lawn, plug them in, and say, Merry Christmas, you fucking animal.
So Douglas has asked, Rocco, don't you have people to do that for you?
Yeah, I got people to do it for me, but, you know, it's kind of fun. You blast the music. You say, hey, I'm putting up Christmas stuff. Like when you're putting up the tree, do you want to sit on the couch with your scotch watching someone else do it? Yeah, probably. That would be the best thing to do. But sometimes you want to put an ornament on there or that light from Christmas Story, you know, the leg with the lampshade, the prize that's fragile. You got to do it yourself sometimes.
All right. So you have a big week coming up here.
I know. I'm excited. December 2nd. You know
what happens?
Right?
What happens?
The McRib comes back. It's a freaking miracle.
And what happens a week from tonight?
I'm going to eat 3 of them.
You eat 3 of them right here on the air. Yeah. Are you going to stack them up and bite into all 3 or just?
Let's not get ridiculous. I got some class. One at a time.
One at a time. We might have to space it out during the show and do reports during the show as you eat. Maybe we'll do it. Yeah, because I don't want it to be like one of those hot dog eating contests where you dunk it in the water and yeah.
Make me sick. All right, we're talking McRibs here, not hot dogs. Let's have a little bit of decorum. All right.
All right. Well, looking forward to that, and you have a good week, Rocco.
You too, Amber. Okay. Hey, everybody out there. See you later.
I want to see some pictures of your decorations too. That'll be fun. Just a pile of lights in his front yard. Whew. Oh, Jack, how's it going?
Oh, it's going. It's another cold night here in Vermont, and I can't wait to return to New York City in my stifling apartment tomorrow.
Oh, well, thank you so much for spending the time with us that you have. So how was the show tonight? Well, it looked like there was a lot of comments. I didn't have time to read them, though.
It was a long show, Amber. You got to reel these guests in a little bit.
Oh,
they had interesting things to say, but yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
I got shit to do.
So
let's do the captions.
Yes. How about the captions? Let's bring that turtle.
Yeah, let's do that turtle there. I did have some good ones, and that was part of the comments. We've got Larry who said, "Bitch McTurtle got some new jeans."
Okay.
And Craig had chimed in on that, and it was hard to top that.
Larry's been topped before.
Better to be topped than bottomed, I guess. Zook said that the turtle ate so much that he had to put his jeggings on. Oh, Lucy Bell wanted to know about the Beaver Moon, and and I think that was a Grandpa LeMay song. It's only a beaver moon.
Yes. Well, Lucy Bell, we'll have to get a report from her because she was supposed to be at the ceremony tonight honoring the beaver moon. So we'll hear about that.
We also had this being the turtles' Thanksgiving jeans. And finally, Mark, of course, said it was either wear this or my Amber LeMay t-shirt.
Oh, he's a funny one, isn't he?
And that's our show for tonight.
All right. Well, thank
Larry
you, Larry.
says best show ever.
Oh, great. Well, it was a great one. So, Russell, come on in.
I'm heading out, guys.
Gee whiz, it was so much fun.
Oh, it was. I had a great time.
Oh, wait. We forgot to do my top 5.
Oh, we did. Do you still want to do it?
Oh, sure.
Okay. Jack's gone, but we'll do it. Go for it.
Okay, now these are the top 5 jobs Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman will work after he's done with politics. So, number 5, he's going to be the foil on a WWE Monday Night Raw ticket. Number 4, he's going to referee a UFC fight. Number 3, he's going to be the villain in the Marvel Universe. The number 2 things that John Fetterman's going to do after he leaves politics, he's going to dress up as the Mountain at Game of Thrones conventions. And the number 1 thing John Fetterman's going to do after he leaves politics, become the first husband after Gisele is elected president of the United States. And I think after seeing her tonight, we can all say that wouldn't be a bad idea. So, Russell, any comments on this show?
Oh, boy, do I have comments, but I'll save them for afterwards, Amber. But I would like to remind people that you can support Amber Live by joining the Bustier Club. If you'd like to donate to the Bustier Club, it's Venmo at RJD Pro. It's very important to keeping us going. It certainly helps a lot. And if you send $25 or more, you get one of those lovely Amber Live stickers. So that Venmo is at RJD Pro. And we really, really do appreciate everyone who does that. And then don't forget that we have lots of great designs in the store. We have some of the classics. We have some new Christmas designs, and you can find the store at amberlive.tv and get all kinds of wonderful Amber Live Christmas presents for all your friends.
Yes, including the mask. Yeah.
Including the mask or a mug. Imagine hot chocolate in this giant mug.
So, Russell, what do we got next week?
Next week, we will be chatting with the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. Coming on to talk about a project they're working on, the Sister Santa Project, which is a really, really fun project. And then we're lining up some other guests that may turn out to be quite interesting as well. Some surprises for everyone. So Lucy Bell will be back with some bitching in the kitchen.
People will like that. And Rocco's McRib Challenge, too.
Rocco's McRib Challenge. We've been waiting for weeks for that. So, Amber, you better make sure you have a McRib to join him.
Yeah, I'll do that. All right. Well, thank you very much, Russell. Great work tonight.
Cousin Craig out to pick you up a McRib.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, my goodness. Thank you for sticking around tonight. If you enjoyed the show, drop us a line at amberlemaylive@gmail.com. Let us know. If you have any ideas or suggestions for guests, let us know that, too. We'd love to hear from you. All right. Well, thank you so much for a great week. It's back to work tomorrow, so let's get to bed. Thank you so much for showing up. I'm going to be here next week. Hope you will be too. Bye-bye.
I can never follow the plot point of Law and Order. Bug, this was Amber Live. Oh, I wondered why they never pulled a sheet over that body.